for economic to trigger economic growth, and that is why we're going to address. So I'm sure that investments in all these areas, if it is continued and addressed and deepened, is going to create the multiplier effect expected, in the economy. Indeed, His Excellency Pedro earlier, mentioned about the need to invest, in gas infrastructure, taking gas from Nigeria to Europe. But here it's already in a few months, in the last few months, this government, has signed a gas pipeline project, from the Gulf of Guinea to Europe, and that is quite significant. And there is also internal, gas transfer project, this AKK project, which is going to, when it is completed, is going to trigger, industrialization along this Ajaokuta, Abuja, Kaduna, kind of belt. So I'm sure the promise for increased, economic activity, for employment, for more revenues, for factories to take off, all this, including the infrastructure and investment in transmission. There is of course more power now generated, but the next thing is to transmit to the consumers, which this government has invested heavily through savings, and in the next few months is expected to come into effect. So all these things are going to really provide the enabling environment, which Dr. Oluwole, is focusing on, to be created for us for an economic takeoff, really seriously.
Thank you very much. The manifest, and I'd like to go back to His Excellency. The manifest does not want Nigeria to lose out on, current technology. We live in an age of point-and-click intelligence, where you find it's all ICT. People are bombarded by countless competing messages, and quite ambitiously, His Excellency Ashiwaju and His Excellency Shatima are saying that in the first 24 months, they would create 1 million ICT specialists. How can we do this?
Well, without any doubt, the future, or I won't put it differently, today has become an ICT world. And from the analysis which Otumba Pedro also gave, part of the challenge that we do have is this multiple databases that we have created. And if and when we're able to have one single database, it makes a lot of things very, very easy. Because in certain climates, probably your telephone number is your identity number. And from that telephone number, you can get a profile of who you are, where you live, what's your age bracket, anything and everything that you need to know. And from that perspective, you can then begin to target whatever you wanted to do. I give you a simple example, which also Bola Tinubu did. When I became governor in 2003, the issue that we had was the issue of post workers, etc., etc. And we also had issue of unemployment, massive unemployment. Our income was less than $1 billion. We used IT to identify the staff, and we found out that we could save over 100 million in terms of wages per month. And rather than join the bandwagon and say we want to reduce staff, we just use that differential to employ more staff. And without adding one dime to the wage bill, those are the capacity that we can do at ICT. And of course, you know the list is teacher. There's nothing else we can achieve any longer without proper database, ICT, and artificial intelligence.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. The final question will go to Engineer African. It has to do with reviving the industry. The manifesto is saying the industries have to be revived. That's the only way forward for this country. As an engineer, do you have any panacea? What can you give us to that reach?
Thank you very much. First, from what agility, how do you come to where we are? We came to where we are because of 2 reasons. infrastructure, and this is something that is money consuming. And it has to be over time. It's not like you go out to be shared and pick. No. You cannot say you go to share and pick. It's gradual over time. But of course, in recent years, it has improved. Because at Nigerian President, where I presided, we ran infrastructure scorecard. And what we saw was well, but there is a remarkable improvement. And renewed hope is our goal creation. If you look at 80-page document, what the new hope means is wealth creation. Once you get well, how do you get well? How do you get well? You need to ski people. People need to be ski. And so this starts up. People will be ski. Once you are ski, and assuming in the last 2 years, President Biden said he's going to give 400 million out of poverty, right? Because the guy do very well. He has 2 years in office. The very 8 years to be done by Tinubu to give about 80 billion out of poverty. What is the solution? The solution is going to have skilled people so that industry will be working because we are as now we are producing. Nobody knows where you are producing. The only place you can move is where you are producing. You must produce, and that means everybody will be skilled. Formally or informally. People have to see so that should be happening. Look at the power sector. I'm saying this because I'm in thought the share power initiative, the board member. Look at the progress made so far. How do we reach where we are? Of course, as of today, we have 20 billion megawatt that are generated. But how many of it evaporated? Only 4. Only 4 evaporated. Then, when people are taking decisions, then I think the father, which was people maybe start with government and just say, we can just do generation at just generation. No. Power is about generation, distribution, and transmission. You need to understand these 3 separate logics.
Thank you very much.
When you don't get it right, it will never happen. And now, in the next first quarter of this, Garabu is running on board, 700 megawatts. But the bottom line is, if these things come on board and all these investments, what is the way forward? How do we sustain it? What is this? We're not saying they are going to sustain the gains and they are going to improve what is going on.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to apologize for actually covering and carrying the other sessions. We'll just take one question. We wouldn't take 2. One, okay, just one hand. Okay, that's true. We'll take 2, gender balance. There's this one, and then we'll take one from the, yeah, go ahead. Yes, Sasha.
Thank you very much. My name is Nigerian-African. What I just want to say is we've been dissecting very serious manifestos since morning. But one thing is missing. Like in the case of infrastructure, it's so massive that we can't leave it to the hand of the foreigners. I think there needs to be a change by making sure that Nigerian professionals take ownership of design and construction. You will save a lot of money there. I've worked in the company for 32 years. We are just teaching our background currency to the foreigners. We have in the built environment 7 professional bodies, Nigerian engineers, Nigerian architects, quantities, name it. I think for us to see what we should be taking is something innovative. We have to think outside the box, like His Excellency Pedro said. Nigeria, the income administration to challenge the Nigerian professionals, especially in the infrastructure, because it's so massive and so capital intensive. We will see a lot of money from capital here. So what are we going to do with that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to invite, if you can just answer the question.
Absolutely, we recognize the talent that we have in Nigeria, and definitely, as you know, both Kashi Shetima and Senator Amr Bola Tinubu are keen to have homegrown solutions to our problems. Indeed, we're going to define specific criteria where all such contracts, all such consulting work, and indeed construction will have a portion that will recognize Nigerian talent and Nigerian resources available. And what's important is for us to build those relevant track records that are needed in certain instances, because we're working under an international, we as individuals are not able to have the track record. So we encourage all of us to start up the company, gain as much and smaller contracts as possible to enable you gain the track record that would allow for us to recognize that. But yes, in our procurement space, that has been provided, and the incoming regime will ensure full enforcement to have the relevant local content space acknowledged within all our procurement for consultancy and construction work. Thank you so much.
There used to be a saying that if you want to hide anything away from the black community, then you should put it in a book. Well, this is the era where we have intellectuals like His Excellency, the Vice Presidential candidate here. So it's just 80 pages of the manifesto. Read it, it is discerning, it's illuminating, it's very classic. And just like Albert Einstein would say, sometimes knowledge is limited, but when you have imagination, and both are encapsulated in this particular document, there is knowledge, there is imagination. Beyond that, if you look at the manifesto very closely, it's very different from previous manifestos because it doesn't just rely on promises alone. There's a how of how to achieve it. And that practical orientation is something we should also bear in mind, and something we should know that we're certainly in safe hands with Aswaji Bola Tinubu and His Excellency Kashi Shetima. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon session. We'll go to the next.
Please, another round of applause. Another round of applause for them as they stand for the photo session. I warned you about Yakubu Lamai. He had taught me, please, let's stand for the photo session, please. Can we just pose for the picture? The photographers are waiting. Picture, please. We'll create a session for you to greet each other later. Thank you. Please clap for them. Clap for them. Thank you very much. It was Yakubu who invited me when he was teaching in university. He said I should come and help him teach one of his English classes. By the time I got, I just told them simply, I said, look, just assume that you are in a war situation, and out of your war experience, write for me a short story. And everybody was writing except one young man. And I went to him, I said, young man, why is it that you are right? Everybody is writing and you're not writing. I told you to assume that you are in a war situation. And from your war experience, just write for me a short story. And the young man just looked at me and said, sir, honestly, I died as soon as the war started. So there's no story for you to tell. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite to do a goodwill message one who was also a faculty member at the University of Maiduguri. He studied economics, but now is serving the good people of Taraba Central as a distinguished senator. Let's welcome for a short goodwill message, distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. Please put your hands together for him as he comes. Can we clap for him? He has said it will be straight to the point. He's actually an action man. Please clap for him as he comes out. Those in front will plead with you that you create room so that our special guest of honor will be able to see and listen to those who are speaking. We have distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf, Taraba Central, speaking next. Please put your hands together once more for him.
First of all, let me thank the organizers of this for giving me this short period of time to just make some few comments of goodwill. Actually, my comments are emanating from the first paper that we have. You see, whatever we do, we have also to look at what is existing and what is coming in the next administration. From a practitioner's point of view, the paper talked about constitutional reform. Since 1999 to date, there was limited amount of constitutional reform that was achieved. Why was this so? The matter is simple. Our governors, quote and in quote, not all of them, have not been able to allow the good amendment of the Constitution. And it is a fact since 1999 up till today. So this administration that is coming, a lot of consultation and cooperative must be given a very, very good, indication so that the presidential candidate, the vice presidential candidate will have to sit down with the incoming governors and get a concession that, look, whatever constitutional amendments we are going to bring, as is passed by the National Assembly, must be given due recognition and passed. Second point, our own attitude. Our attitude is a very, very challenging attitude for the development of this country. I give you an example. We are talking about, how to improve our dollar, our dollars, outside the country. How do we improve that? All of us here, majority of us here, what we wear today is 90% foreign. And we want to improve, the value of our naira. So we have to start to change our attitude for the betterment of this country. Today, when they talk about changing the value of the naira, many people have started buying the dollars. So we are now dollarizing the Nigerian economy, by abusing or by running away from what this administration is trying to do to bring in more naira into the banking system. Today, the prices of grains, the prices of agricultural products have gone up. Why do they do? People who hoarded money, are there buying and stocking this and this. So our attitude must change. If we do not change our attitude, I'm sorry to say that we'll have a very, very challenging situation ahead of us. The number 3 point. You see, civil service and public service. Our public service and civil service for the 8 years that I've been in the Senate is a very, very challenging one. We have to find a way of changing the orientation of the civil service or the civil servants and the public servants. People, for instance, today who hold properties, who hold dollars, are the civil servants and the public servants. Many of us, have dollars in stock in our houses. And we say we do not want to, we want to improve the value of the naira in this country. If we do not change this attitude, I'm sorry to say that we will have a very, very challenging, from 2020 and from 2023. But be that as it may, we have professionals, the presidential candidate, the vice presidential candidate, they are experts in their own field. But I'm telling you that we have to sit up, we have to start changing from now, we have to appreciate them, we have to accept the fact that these things, have to be done with change of attitude. The final point I want to talk about is we must imbibe this consultative and cooperative relationship, both horizontally and vertically. Vertically, between the federal, the states, and the local government. If there is no this consultative, discussion, we will have a very, very difficult and challenging relationship between the central, the state, and the local government. Also horizontally, they have been accusing, the senators of being rubber stamps. I've always answered this question. Are we elected to come and fight the executive? We are not. So also we need to have a very good consultative and cooperative, relationship on that horizontal line. Finally, sir, yes, Chief Pedro, talked about, the prices, interest rate, inflation, exchange rate, wages. I'm adding, wages. They are very, very important. For this 8 months, we have gone through this country where ASU held us responsible. So wages are very, very important. So we must add that to our manifesto to make sure that we get the right thing. So thank you very much for giving me these 2-3 minutes to say a word of it. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together for him, please? The next introduction is a short story, and is a response to one international journalist who wrote about this man and said to us that he's a local Borno boy. And somebody shared with us a response about it, that yes, truly, he started in Biu when he went to his primary school, but later on he went to Potiskum for his secondary school, which is now in Yobe, and came back to Maiduguri for his university education. But he needed to go far. For his NYSC, he went to Cross River State and spent time in Calabar, eating edikaiko and speaking the local language. He went to the West, the great UI, for a master's degree, and later went back to Maiduguri as a lecturer, and then he went back to teach agri-economics. They also called him again to Lagos, Ikeja precisely, and that's in the south, where he went and joined a bank, where most people said at that time it was owned by an Igbo man and run by Igbo men. He was also called back again as Commissioner for Local Government, Chieftaincy Affairs, the Commissioner for Health. In fact, he was Commissioner in 5 different ministries. As part of recognition, people looked at him, and in 2014, the Leadership newspaper gave him the Leadership of Governor of the Year Award. In 2015, the NUJ National gave him the Governor of the Year Award. In 2015 again, the Newswatch Times gave him Governor of the Year Award. In 2015, Vanguard newspaper called him and said, we also recognize you as Governor of the Year, so it was not a fluke. In 2016, Tell magazine says he's also Governor of the Year. In 2017, Zik Prize for Leadership Merit was conferred on him. And in 2017 again, the NUJ FCT gave him the Merit Award for Exceptional Leadership. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I present to us for a special address, our special guest today, a believer in Nigeria, an advocate of peace, a queller of conflict, and a true builder and statesman. As a former governor of Borno State, leader of a new intellectual thought force, and vice presidential candidate of the APC. His Excellency, distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima. Please put your hands together for him as he comes over to tell us his mind and share with us the vision on how we'll solve the problems of this country. Please, another round of applause for him.
You can sit down, sir, Your Excellency. When there are so many shining stars in a gathering, the safest way to save your neck is to say, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to stand on established protocol. And if you are unfortunate enough to allow people like Hadiza to speak before you, they will rob you of all the glamour of addressing the gathering. Peter F. Drucker, intelligence, imagination, and knowledge are essential resources, but only effectiveness converts them into results. By themselves, they only set limits to what can be attained. Leadership goes beyond propounding theories. Leadership requires us to walk the talk. The world has moved from the agricultural age through the industrial age, and now we are in the knowledge-driven post-industrial age. In other climes, they are talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. They are talking about robotics process automation. In other nations, they are talking about edge computing.
of quantum computing, of virtual reality and augmented reality, of blockchain, of Internet of Things, of big data. While here we are dissipating our useful time and energy talking about sedentary farmers, herdsmen clashes, talking about our geography, of the geography of our places of worship. And our former colonial masters, they just elected Rishi Sunak, a first generation Hindu immigrant from Gujarati, as the Prime Minister of Britain. After their romance with tribalism with Liz Truss failed spectacularly. Right now, the Home Secretary of Britain is Suella Braverman of Indian descent. The Foreign Minister, James Cleverly, is of Sierra Leonean descent. The Secretary for International Trade, Kemi Badenoch, is of Nigerian extraction. What is important, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, is how to reposition the Nigerian nation. Because the trajectory of global growth is facing Africa, and Nigeria will make or mar that transition. And how do we go about it? The respect that the black man gains in the world is directly proportional to the performance of the Nigerian nation. If Nigeria fails, the black man has failed. And the global economy, sadly, is careering towards a recession. The Bank of England had predicted that the British economy is going to go through a very long, deep recession. In the upcoming winter, our former colonial masters are backsliding to the status of a third world nation because 70% of UK citizens will have a choice between heating or eating. That's how bad it is. I'm an eternal optimist, but I'm also a realist. We cannot shield ourselves from the global realities, from the challenges in Ukraine. We are going to go through some very rough waters in the coming months and years. This is why leadership is very crucial. 2023 will be a watershed election in the history of this country. As I've always said, we are not preparing for the Olympics, but an institution that thrives on the superiority of ideas and track records. And who has better track records and superiority of ideas than Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? We just spoke about the Lagos deep sea port that is going to handle, is the largest in Nigeria and one of the largest deep sea ports in West Africa. And it's going to handle about 2.4 million tonnage per annum. 30 years ago, you will see Babala was sacrificing black cows along the shores of the Atlantic at the Bar Beach because of the quality of somebody's ideas. Here we have the Eco Atlantic City that will give accommodation facilities to 250,000 Nigerians and 150 that will swim into work there. I spent a night in that edifice and it was amazing. I said, look, I'm in the middle of the ocean. Where are the marmites and the to come and torment us? So when I was to speak in Mina about 3 days ago. I was curious, what have they accomplished in Lagos in the agricultural scene? Because Lagos with 3,577 square kilometers is the smallest state in Nigeria. Borno with 70,868 square kilometers. You can put 21 of Lagos into Borno. I was curious, and lo and behold, the largest rice mill in Africa and the third largest in the world is located in Lagos at Imota, on a sprawling 37 hectares of land, with the rice mill alone occupying 8.75 hectares. That will provide direct jobs to 1,500 Nigerians and indirect jobs to 254,000 Nigerians. That will produce 2.8 million bags of 50 kg rice per annum. It's the product of somebody's imagination. Talk about the Aliko Dangote refinery. It's the largest single train refinery in the world that has the capacity to refine 650,000 liters, 650,000 barrels of oil per day. It's a $25 billion investment. As rightly encapsulated by Hadiza, we have a coastline of 850 kilometers. You have the option of siting it in Ondo, or Kitipupa has even oil. You have the option of siting it in Ogun. But because of the ambience, because of the enabling environment created by Bola Tinubu and his team, that edifice is in Lekki, in Lagos. And when he became the governor, Lagos was generating a paltry 600 million in the IGR. Now Lagos is generating per month 61 billion naira. And Lagos is the fifth largest economy in Africa and is projected to be the third largest economy by the end of the decade. When I first got a job in Lagos in 1993, I had to beg my mother for over 2 weeks before she allowed me to go. By then, the peer of Lagos, on average, Northern was the beginning of wisdom. Before she allowed me to go, they had to assemble a crowd of marabouts to pray for me. Not for me to progress in Lagos, but for my safety, for me to come back in one piece to Maiduguri. That was how bad things were. And I want you to compare the situation in Lagos 30 years ago and what it is now. Now Lagos is the safest city-state in West Africa, where people are coming from all over the world for holiday in Lagos. This is why leadership is very, very crucial for the growth. For the sake of the black man, what are the options available? You know, our political space is filled with a lot of very careful snails who do not want to disturb the apple cart, who do not want to ruffle feathers. We have to send jibes. We have to provoke conversation without descending so low as to engage in malicious concoctions or dubious aspersions on personalities. But what are the options available? I don't want to mention the Wole Wole incident. I respect Waziri Pombina. He's an elder statesman that I hold in the highest esteem. I will not question his nationality, no. He's a bona fide Nigerian. Peter Gringori Obi, I call him Gringori. Gringori is my friend, but Gringori has absolutely nothing to offer apart from dubious statistics. So the choice before us, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, is like the difference between daylight and darkness. And at the risk of sounding immodest, when the elder statesman Otumba Benga Daniel mentioned that there are 8,000 tractors in Nigeria, I'm a humble man. I don't like to blow my own trumpet. But you know, as captured in Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, you have to learn how to blow your own trumpet. Half of the agricultural equipment in Nigeria are in Borno. There are less than 50 combined harvesters in the whole of the Nigerian Federation, 25 are in Borno. I'm an agricultural economist by training, a banker by profession, and a politician by calling. And I invested in the entire agricultural value chain. Vivian Green said, you don't wait for the storm to be over. You learn to dance in the rain. So at the height of the Boko Haram, I am back on an accusation blitzkrieg. I was able to assemble some of the brightest minds you could ever find in this country. Innocent Audu Obe, a very cerebral former minister, former PDP chairman. He was my honorary special advisor on agriculture. Engineer Ibrahim Ali, almost a genius, was my honorary special advisor on industries. We crisscrossed the whole world, from China to India to Vietnam to USA to Pakistan, everyone looking for the best equipment, intermediate equipment. Because entrepreneurial capitalism is embedded in the very psyche of the average Nigerian. But what our people are lacking is the wherewithal for you to place them on Jeffrey Sachs' space ladder of development. And the government has to play that role. We bought array of agricultural goods, sprinkler irrigation, center pivot irrigation, drip irrigation, harvesters, diggers, tractors, so many items, too numerous to mention. And right now, my boss, my leader, who is head and shoulders above me in terms of intellect, capacity, and indefatigability, Professor Babagana Umara Zulu, is deploying those agricultural commodities for the good of our people, for us to generate jobs. And last night was one of my happiest nights this year. I met a very, very amazing personality. His name is Allen Ipechukwu Oyema. He's the chairman of Air Peace, one of the fascinating characters I have met in recent time. Who believes in the Nigeria project? A very courageous man, one of the leading lights, very cerebral, very brilliant. He has 38 aircrafts in his airline company. It's the best. And mind you, 80% of his employees are not of Southeastern origin, no. He has employed people from all walks of life. And he's investing in the Nigeria project. If there's one man who deserves the highest national honor in this country, none deserve that honor greater than Allen Ipechukwu Oyema. Anyone who happens to know him, kindly extend my warmest felicitation and regards to him. We'll hold him in the highest honor. Infrastructure, you are our leaders. The professionals are our leaders. You are the one that will show the way for us. We'll be humble enough to interface with you, to cross-fertilize our ideas with you, so that no one is an island unto himself. We have to come together as a nation, as a people. This is a great nation in chains, chained by ineptitude, chained by corruption, and chained by stupidity and naivety. I call the Suharto clan patriotic kleptocrats because after stealing from the collective patrimony of the Indonesian people, they invested in their own economy. Ours It's about primitive capital accumulation. We steal so much as if stealing is going out of passion. Some have stolen so much that even if you extend their shelf life to 300 years, they may not exhaust what they have stolen. So that's the sorry state of affairs in this country, and we have to change. We are at our nadir. There is no option than for us to rise. And we have to give it to Muhammadu Buhari. He has done his best in terms of infrastructure. We are in some sort of a time capsule. And our problem is not a debt issue. Our problem is a revenue issue. That's one fundamental thing that my elder statesman, former deputy governor of Lagos, Femi Pedro, can attest to. The highest budget we have ever gotten was $31 billion. That was under former President Jonathan in 2013 or thereabout. And what was the budget performance? Less than 50%. Let us compare equals. Brazil, with a similar population, had a budget of $656 billion with a performance of 90%. So we have to wear our thinking caps, think outside the box, come with robust solutions. We have the intellect, we have the capacity. Let's get the right people. Security-wise, yeah, we have. The likes of General Dambozo, who are being globally celebrated, who are being invited to Harvard to deliver lectures. But we need to really, really reposition this country. And I'm mightily proud of this group, of these professionals. We ought to be in Latvia with Hadiza and General Dambozo. We had to go to our principal and sought for his leave that no, we have to honor the APC professionals who, through their own efforts, a dime from the party, you funded this event. You never went to a one-city hotel in Mararaba. No, you came to a great Saturday, the Yaradua Center. Although I'm sweating like a Christmas movie because of So thank you so much. I have taken of, giving me a platform. The trouble with us politicians is that we talk endlessly, so that we even divert from the core issue at stake. I want to thank you most sincerely from the bottom of my heart. My friend, the former deputy governor of Enugu State, is there. I want to thank you most sincerely. I'm wishing you the best. And most importantly, I want to give you the assurance. And I'm not talking to you as a politician. I'm talking to you as a friend, as a brother, as a contemporary. We are going to honor our word. We are going to honor our pact with the Nigerian nation. The ball game next time is that we are going to gather our best friends. We are going to have our best friends. And we are going to be gender friendly. Here we have Dr. Jumoke and Hadiza Bala Usman and Barisa. It's so many ladies. And believe me, we are going to be very, very gender friendly and professional friendly because my brother Akite Waziri Bulama is looking at me fiercely. Thank you so much. And I beg to take my leave because I have other functions to attend. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Please put your hands together for Excellency. Can we clap for him, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for the honor. We appreciate you. Let me also inform you that immediately after now, General Lampaza will be leading. Please, we want you to just quickly lead him out and come back because we have a special guest. He was one of those who came out very early to be part of this, and we will only honor him by coming back quickly to listen to the speeches. Thank you very much, General, for making preparations and for coming very early to be a part of this. Let me also Our eyes met. Yes. So we'll be taking the security panel immediately after now. Please, refreshment is going to be served now. For those who are inside the hall, I don't know what will happen to those who are outside. Refreshment will be served in the hall right now. I'll advise that you remain seated. Collect your own before you follow anybody outside. Okay. You too. Well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will plead with the gentlemen of the press to remain because the next panel is the security panel, and it's a very, very important discussion after now. It will be led by General Abdurrahman Ambazo, the former Chief of Staff, former Minister of Interior. He'll be leading that discussion, so I want to appeal to us to remain seated. Meanwhile, refreshment will be served now. So if our refreshment will be served inside the hall only, there's no refreshment outside here. So I appeal to us to remain seated, please. I appeal to us to remain seated. We are taking the security committee in a bit. We're taking the security reporting committee in a bit. Gentlemen of the press, we appeal to you to stay for at least 1 or 2 more. The next session is security, and it's very important. It's very, very important at this point. You will take very vital information. Security, gentlemen of the press, thank you for staying. Thank you. Thank you very much for your understanding, gentlemen of the press.
Ladies and gentlemen, kindly take your seats, please. We're about to get into the second session. Oh, sorry, the third session. APC, we're not ready. We want to save our time, and there will be 7 refreshments any moment from now, but please kindly take your seat so that we can move on to the next session. The refreshments will be served, but to only people who are seated. Please take your seats. Thank you very much. Right. At this point, would like to call on General Abdurrahman Dambazal, the Baraden Kano, former Chief of Staff, former Chief of Army Staff, 2008 to 2010, CFR, PSI, NDC, FWC, former Minister of former Minister of Interior, and of course, someone who is extremely passionate and patriotic to the Nigerian cause. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. Your Excellency, the Chairman, the Professionals Forum, Your Excellency, and my very good friend and the person who really assisted
in my achievement as GOC 2 Division, Otumba Benga Daniel. I stand on the existing protocol just as I stand on the mandate of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Yes, I've been asked to speak on security as it relates to the Asiwaju's manifesto, not just to speak, but to dissect it, as His Excellency Benga Daniel said. Security is everything for the nation. And you can bear with me that of all the discussions that has taken place since morning, everything revolved around security. Just as the society itself is dynamic, security challenges are also dynamic. And this is the reason why that we need to invigorate the security architecture to tackle emerging security challenges. Economic growth itself largely depends on security. Nobody invests in an environment that is not secure. And that has been clearly brought out by the economic team. And development in general is a function of security. We've just finished talking about infrastructure. Our friend, former governor of Ekiti State, said even stomach has its own infrastructure. He was talking about security. Yes, like every nation, Nigeria has its own security challenges. And the Buhari's administration met serious security challenges of Boko Haram, terrorism, and insurgency in the Northeast. Today, that insurgency has been degraded and disseminated. And this is evident by the report of the Global Terrorism Index of 2022. And that index is clear when it's specifically mentioned that counterinsurgency operations have significantly decreased Boko Haram's activities, with the organization recording only 64 attacks in 2021. Deaths dropped by 92% from 2,132 in 2015 to 178 in 2021. And the decline of Boko Haram contributed to Nigeria recording the second largest reduction in deaths from terrorism in 2021, with the number falling by 47% to 448. This is actually a report from the Global Terrorism Index of 2022 with regards to the insurgency in the Northeast. Security is not just about the physical aspect of protection of lives and properties. Like I mentioned, that everything has a touch of security. It's also about survival and well-being of the citizens, be it education, health, agriculture, or food security, the environment, employment, etc. we are lucky, as one of the speakers has mentioned, that we have the duo of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima as our next president and vice presidents, God willing, 2023. Tinubu and I lived in Lagos for a couple of years, served in the army a couple of years in Lagos. And incidentally, during that period, I served as a military police officer. That was in the late 70s. And we worked very closely with the police, the civil police. And I knew what Lagos was like at that time. So the transformation His Excellency brought to Lagos as the governor then in terms of security was tremendous. And today we have a different kind of Lagos, not the Lagos of intense armed robbery attacks, not the Lagos of dead bodies lying the streets, but it's quite different. And I witnessed that even before I left Lagos finally, when I was posted to Jos. For himself, the incoming Vice President, God willing, is a man who has experienced what security, the threat to national security really is, with the Boko Haram insurgency, with him as governor for 8 years in Borno State. That combined with the threat of the environment as a result of climate change, which led to land degradation with intense desertification and drought, gives him enough experience to tackle these challenges in the country. Now, the Bola Ahmed Tinubu has certain strategies in line with the manifesto. The strategies are as follows. He intends to mobilize the totality of Nigeria's national security assets to protect all Nigerians from danger and from the fear of danger. He intends to expand and improve upon the use of technology, enhance recruitment of personnel, and bolster existing agencies and systems to achieve his fundamental national security goal. Third, he intends that the administration will be committed of permanently securing the safety, freedom, and prosperity of all Nigerians. And finally, he intends to pursue that through a proactive and intelligence-driven security approach in the system. Now, there are identified a 7-point agenda of Asiwaju Security Action Plan. 7-point agenda. The first agenda, the first item on the agenda is to bolster Nigeria's security forces. And I will tell you what that is involved. The second item on the agenda is to redefine military doctrine and practice. The third item on the agenda is to secure critical national infrastructure. The fourth item on the agenda is peaceful communities, secure borders, and safe forests. We all know what happens in our forests today. The fifth part of the agenda, which has been mentioned earlier on, is integrated identity database. And the sixth of that item is international collaboration, while the seventh is repositioning the police. So these are the 7-point agenda in the manifesto. Now, with the first agenda of bolstering Nigeria's security forces is to accelerate reforms of the security sector, which was commenced under the Buhari administration to build a more robust, re-energized armed forces. We all know that the Buhari administration has done so much, particularly in terms of re-equipping the armed forces. We've heard of the Tucanos that were procured from the US. Very soon, in a few months, 12 attack helicopters will arrive in this country. So, since 1999, there is no government that has done as much as Buhari's administration in terms of re-equipping the armed forces. Also, the intention also is to carry out reforms that will integrate the security sector to function with maximum cooperation, collaboration, and coordination among security agencies and related ministries, departments, and agencies. Like I said, security is all-encompassing. The approach is all the societal approach, all of the country's approach. So security is not just about the military. Security is, there are civil side of the security. And there is a strong correlation between what happens in terms of lives and properties and what happens in terms of human security. The human security that has to do with reduction of poverty, as has been started by the Buhari administration. They empower all the social investment programs and so on and so forth. The health sector, we all know how much the Buhari administration has done in terms of primary health care. Quite a lot of, almost every local government, and I think all of them, have the benefit of primary health care accessibility and of quality, and so on and so forth. Between 1999 to 2015, the only attempt at reforms, and this was by the Obasanjo regime of PDP, the only attempt at reforms was the retirement of politically exposed military officers by the then Obasanjo's administration. Then the contracting of the US-based private military company, that is the MPRI, the Military Professional Resource Incorporated, which activities did not go beyond attempt to conduct audit of the armed forces. So we have to, because I'm emphasizing on these areas because a lot of people, you know, of course, you know, it's a political propaganda that there is a lot of issues of insecurity, and the APC government has done little. These activities that are performed by the Buhari administration go to prove that the APC government in the last 7.5 years has done quite a lot. Along that line, the Tinubu administration intends to recruit, train, and better equip the military, the police, paramilitary, and intelligence personnel. And this is what is that in the manifesto. Now, the second item is redefine military doctrine and practice. This will involve the creation of highly trained and disciplined counter-terrorist special forces. And this is something that is not a story. It is something that can be done. It's a deliverable, which the Tinubu administration intends to carry out. But it is building on the foundation already laid by the Buhari administration. Also, to upgrade tactical communications for improved communications and mobility. Upgrade weapon systems, exploit aerial and technological superiority, improve the salaries and welfare of all security personnel, win hearts and minds. The end state will be a doctrine designed to effectively tackle emerging threats from non-state actors, particularly of terrorism, insurgency, violent extremism, secession, banditry, and kidnapping. Now, the third item is to secure critical national infrastructure. This has been a mandate of the civil defense, a statutory mandate of the civil defense. And this will involve measures to eliminate attacks on vital national infrastructure. Create infrastructural protection plan. This is something that the Tinubu administration intend to do. The creation of infrastructure protection plan, CIPP. Deploy modern technologies, tools, and equipment to end crude oil theft. We all know the billions of dollars Nigeria is losing on oil theft. The Buhari administration has identified quite a number of these issues. And of course, the Tinubu administration will, put the building blocks on them. Prevent vandalism of national assets and reduce environmental pollution, particularly in the Niger Delta where there is oil spill. And of course, anybody who is familiar with the activities of Ministry of Environment knows how much they have been doing towards that. Now, peaceful communities, secure borders, and safe forests. Every community has the right to protect. Now, the Tinubu administration intends to collaborate with state governments and the National Assembly to enact measures necessary to secure and protect communities from criminal violence, banditry, and terrorism. That itself will reduce the number of communities being displaced. That itself will ginger communities to work very closely with security agencies in order to enhance their protection. Also, it will strengthen border agencies' ability to patrol and monitor borders. This is very important. We are dealing with land border of about 4,500 kilometers, just land borders. And of course, we have the coastal borders. And these borders are very porous. And not only that, we share, which makes it a bit difficult too, cultural affinity between border communities. If you go to Niger border, the community that is very close to the border and that of Nigeria, you won't be able to know the difference. Likewise, Chad and Nigeria, Benin and Nigeria, where most of the communities there are Yoruba speaking. So, you won't be able to make a differentiate between the two communities. So that itself is a challenge. So the administration realizing the fact that borders are very important, and because our borders are porous, it gives opportunity from cross-border criminal activities, like human trafficking, like arms trafficking, like drugs trafficking. As at the last count I read somewhere was that there are over 6 million small arms and light weapons in the hands of non-state actors in Nigeria. So this kind of thing, we must be able to have our eyes on our borders, aside the fact that the Tinubu administration, as part of the strategy, is to clean up those arms and ammunition that are littering in the country. Also, the administration intends to revitalize Ranger and Forest Guards Force to prevent violent groups from making forest their safe haven. You see the line of the forest all through. That is where most of these criminal gangs hide and come out to commit their terror acts, banditry, and so on and so forth. Now, the revival of the Ranger and Forest Guards will go a long way to deal with such situation. When I was Minister of Interior, we also thought of creating agro rangers as part of the civil defense in order to be able to protect agricultural investments of all kinds, particularly within the forests. And that has been ongoing on. But this revitalization of rangers and forest guards force will prevent these violent groups once it is dominated. The next item is integration of identity-based database. We all know that database is very important in terms of security. Of course, as of today, we have biometric system whereby that can be used to identify individuals, particularly when crossing the borders at the airports and so on and so forth. This is very important because if we don't integrate the database, the name, and so on, the passport identification, the BVN, and so on, it makes it very, very complex in identification. So that is part of what the Tinubu administration will do. Current efforts on integration also, all existing data will not only be sustained but expanded. We use other assets as tools for security and safety of Nigerians. Now, international collaboration, this is very important. Across the border in Niger, today we have 2 bases, American bases. Those are 2 drone bases. One established by the CIA, the other was established by the Department of Defense in Niger Republic. And they are deployed there, established there to protect America's interests. And also we have France has a lot of interest in all our neighbors who are Francophone countries. We cannot leave that like that. There must be some kind of a relationship established for mutual interests. And whatever they are getting from using their bases, we'll be able to leverage on that to apply in our operations. And so this is very, very important for us to do. We must not neglect that. Also, even our immediate neighbors, when the president came in 2015, the first thing he did was to visit the neighbors and also invited them here for a conference. As a result of that, the multinational joint task force was strengthened in order to be able to fight Boko Haram. And that has helped so much. And today, that Boko Haram group has been, like I said earlier, has been completely degraded. And of course, there are still some challenges which are regional in nature and which Nigeria is also pushing herself to be able to lead in order to sort out the problem. Now, to reposition the police, which is the last of the item, is to boost public confidence in Nigerian police and other internal security agencies. We know part of the problem of the police is trust and confidence between itself and the public. So once that trust and confidence is not there, then it becomes a problem to enforce the law or to ensure law and order in society. So the Tinubu administration intends to do, as part of the manifesto, to boost that confidence. Also to provide high-tech, non-lethal equipment with corresponding power, manpower development schemes. Yes, the high-tech equipments that are non-lethal, because these equipments are supposed to go to the police. The police are not to use lethal equipment against the public. So this is why the emphasis is here. It's something that has to do with international law. Mr. Ogala can, I'm sure he's very much aware of that. Police personnel will be freed from extraneous duties, such as VIP protection. This VIP protection that most VIPs enjoy will be removed from the police. Civil defense will now take up that. This is part of the Tinubu's plan of action. So that a lot of these police being engaged in these extraneous duties can now be deployed for law and order. What are the expectations? The expectations are reforms of the security sector to be completed within the first term of the Tinubu administration. At the end of the reforms, Nigerians will have a security sector that is accountable, that is transparent, professional, that sustains respect for human rights, observe the rule of law, and with full capacity to monitor and respond to any national threat, any threat to national security. Also, there will be safe and secure society that will attract foreign and local investments and provide opportunities for citizens to realize their potentials and improve Nigeria's reputation among the international community. These are the expectations. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for him one more time. Thank you very much. Very succinctly put. It clears way for the panel to do their work. While we are getting ready for that, I want to especially welcome and appreciate the former Minister of State for Defense, Federal Republic of Nigeria, former Nigeria's High Commissioner to Ghana, distinguished Senator Babatunde Muslim Obaniko. Please put your hands together for me. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. The afternoon is beginning to take its toll, but we're here because we love our party, we're here because we love Nigeria, and we're talking. Somewhere in the US, the police knocked on somebody's door and they told him, come out. And he says, what do you want? He said, come out, we just want to talk. And he says, do you have a warrant? He said, yes. But come out, we just want to talk. And the man said, I don't want to talk. He said, please come out, there's no problem, we just want to talk. And the man asked them, he said, how many of you are out there? He said, 2 of us. Just 2 of us. It's okay, talk between yourselves. I don't want to talk. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're still talking, and we're talking amongst ourselves to solve the problems that have come before us. Let me invite the moderator for this session, one who is a politician, a gender advocate, a writer, MC, moderator, broadcast journalist, and social media critic. She's a patriot and a special blogger. She is the convener of the Niger Patriots Report, and she's often referred to based on her patriotic stance, and she has also been able to help to counsel and quell misinformation about Nigeria on the microblogging site Twitter. She's popularly known as Kem on social media, but we know her as Kemi Ashiku. Please put your hands together for her. She comes up to help moderate this session. Can we clap for her some more, please?
Thank you very much. Ben Hackman have amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk security. I'd like to invite the discussants for this panel. That is, besides the great general who's seated to my left, I'd also like to invite Professor Colonel Oluwadare Joseph. Please put your hands together for him. DIG David Folawiyo, retired. Dr. Fola Apowore, former CEO of Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Please put your hands together. Thank you. And Mr. Garba Shinkafi. Thank you very much. With these gentlemen, we'll be looking at Tinubu, Panacea for a safe and secure Nigeria. But before we go into that, let me just quickly take you through a bit of who they are. Of course, to my left, you know him already. I introduced, or he was introduced earlier, General Gambazel. To my right is Professor Colonel Abiodun Oluwadare Joseph, a political scientist. He holds a PhD in History and Strategic Studies and a senior lecturer in the Department of Political Science. Okay, Associate Professor and Senior Lecturer in the Department of Political Science, Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, and an author of many academic publications. Thank you. Immediately after that is the recently retired Deputy Inspector General of Police in the person of DIG David Folawiyo. He retired as the DIG in charge of ICT in the Nigerian Police Force. Please put your hands together for him. You know, when Colonel sat beside me and looked at his beards, I know that the military are not allowed that. So when I was looking at his own face again, I wanted to find out if he wanted his own beard back too, but he's still keeping it clean. All right, next up is Dr. Fola Mr. Fola Apowore, the former CEO of Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Thank you for joining us, sir. And lastly is Mr. Garba Shinkafi, DSS Director, also retired. Now, these gentlemen may be retired. Thank you. Please put your hands together for them. These gentlemen may be retired, but of course, they are not tired of contributing their quota to Nigeria, and that much is obvious by their attendance of these events today. We're looking at the Tinubu Panacea for a safe and secure Nigeria. We still have another session to go, so we're going to make this a bit fast. And I'm going to start with Mr. Ola Apowore. I have to correct the doctor in my head.
I don't mind now.
Thank you. Now, he was a former CEO of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. And as you may have heard, the vice presidential candidate, say, Lagos State required prayers before we could go to Lagos State. There must have been something that they did differently that made Lagos State stand out. And as someone who was in the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, he must know. And since this is an in-house talk. We are talking amongst ourselves as family members. We do not be seen as revealing secrets. So I'd like to ask you, Mr. Abola Afowori, what are the significant changes that were done with that agency that made Lagos State stand out?
As you know, one of the major problems over the years with security has been funding. Security is not like infrastructure where you have a fixed amount to build a bridge. It's very dynamic, so there's always a need for funding. And the regular budget structure is often unable to meet the needs because you might have an emergency and then your budget didn't foresee that. So the trust fund was a vehicle by which extra funding could be brought in and allocated directly to the agencies at point of need. So it was like intervening when there is a need. And happily, one of the greatest legacies of the Buhari administration is that they have established by law a police trust fund. People have been advocating for that for years. So with that trust fund, they can intervene at all the levels of police. So essentially, it was funding. Funding is the main backbone of security. And then, because you are the funder, you can also intervene in terms of policy. So we had a policy, PPP. We felt that the key things in dealing with crime in Lagos were visibility, presence, patrolling, and prevention. So the funding went towards ensuring that there's always a police vehicle and a police team, and then also the issue of emergency. Because the key thing in Lagos was that even when you call the police, right, what you hear is no vehicle, right? Or, come and report at the station rather than the police going there. So what we did, what Ashwadu did was create the rapid response squad. So the essence was, how fast can you respond to an emergency? And once your response time is better, then the thieves or the robbers are less inclined to rob because they know they are likely to be caught in the act. So that's the prevention act. But all of this is theory if you don't have the funding. So the trust fund was able to backbone the whole system. If you buy 1,000 vehicles, that's wonderful, but you have to fund them. So you find that after a week, you run out of funds. But with the trust fund, you can sustain the issue. So that essentially was what it was a special purpose vehicle to ensure that there is financial backing for whatever initiatives the government comes up with.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't think that is impressive enough? Thank you. But dissecting the renewed Hope Manifesto of Ashwadi Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are actually looking at the security arm of that action plan. And now I'd like to send my next question to Mr. Garba Shehu Shinkafi, DSS Director retired. In the action plan, it says proactive and intelligence-driven crime becoming, and that will make crime become unattractive, and they will ensure that the agencies are more focused and re-energized. For you as a person who's been with the DSS, how important is this intelligence gathering, and how do you think it will be, how possible is it that will affect the right change in the security architecture of the nation?
Thank you very much. Actually, what happens is there in the field, security agencies work for team. And in most cases, the intelligence provides the agenda as to what, when, where, and how, and who is involved. So once the actual agencies, like the military, the police, have the actionable intelligence to work on, these issues are immediately neutralized and nipped in the bud. So this is how it works, and that what makes the proactiveness of the security agency is very, very key. You get the intelligence, you get the right intelligence, and you go and work on it. And the security issues will be neutralized. So this is the proactive aspect of the whole thing. And here, just as the speaker mentioned how it has encapsulated in the manifesto, we have had a gamut of actions that the manifesto that is being added and Cash Lima Council will be by 2023. This is what is going to drive the intelligence will drive the security agencies to achieve all this as mentioned. For instance, if you're talking about the securing of the borders, of which actually we know presently, as mentioned by the speaker, the level of arms and ammunition in the country is massive. But then the intelligence should be able to trace the source of these weapons, right from Libya, how they came into the country. That's talking about the northwest zone of the country. You talk about Katsina, you talk about Kebbi, you talk about Sokoto. All these are gateways through which some of these fires are going. But when these equipments are being provided, technology, as even mentioned by the vice presidential candidate, which the world now has gone, the technology now is the anything. As mentioned, the artificial intelligence, the robotics, and the rest of them. So all these things will be used by the intelligence agency and share it with other security agencies and rest of the security programs.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, let's go to DIG David Falawi of retired. Just before you retired, you were the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of ICT. And this takes us to security and technology. In the manifesto, it said that technology will be a major driving force for protecting the citizenry, properties, and all of that. And then I'd like to find out from you if the police is going to, because that's your forte, right? If the police is going to be that force that relies on technology, what are some of the important things that need to be done?
What we have in our hands is a somewhat populist manifesto. It's a manifesto that is really promising and hope for progressive good governance. And the vice president has just hit the nail on the head by saying what they are actually professing is leadership. It is leadership that belies security. The members of the public aid leadership. If leadership is organized, orderly, and peaceable, the community is likely to be orderly and peaceable. In the circumstance where we predicate manifesto on civilization, on modernization, on youth development and social justice. We are laying foundation for orderliness to minimize infringements, minimize crime, provide for the people, etc. Once we do that, the way the manifesto is, 50% of security job is done. And by the time we go to the field, you will see that 80% of the work has been captured by good governance. The remaining 20% will be facing professional criminals. And when we want to train professional criminals, we come to ICT. The requirement in ICT is such that we should be able to do correlative, predictive, and correspondent analysis to be able either to prevent, capture, or even estimate. The world has even moved away from drones 15 years ago, and we are still talking about drones. The world has moved to technology that can enable even aircraft to take off in this compound. And so many other things. So ICT is it, and the manufacturer has laid foundation for strengthening the services, strengthening the civil forces, making sure that recruitment is qualitative and in large number, making sure that the services are provided for in welfare. And in any event, when you do social social policies that take care of health, housing, and other things, you are provided for the people. The brow comes down. The police, just like business grows countries, security also funds development. When you find, you get revenue. And leadership must not go to beg police. Leadership should pay fines. When people, I think the Asiwaju is known never to go beg police. And that is something I think is going to bring to bear. If people go to Asiwaju in those days to intercede in infringements or anything, he will never give you money to go and pay. He will never call police. And that is leadership. So let us own our own police, let us own the security services, and let's progress.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Nicolao. I like the part where you said leadership should not beg police. Leadership should not beg police. That is a very important thing to take away from here. Because at the end of the day, if leadership continues to beg police, we will not have the right country, the country that we can bequeath to our children and those yet unborn. Instead, leadership should pay fines. Because when you pay fines today, tomorrow, the next time you just say to yourself, own your problem, don't get into trouble. All right, let me go to the professor who's also a colonel, because once a colonel, always a colonel, even if you are retired, but he is a professor. Associate professor actually holds a doctorate in history and strategic studies, and you know that to be that, you have to have written quite a number of papers, so to speak. And one of the papers I believe that he had written was about insecurity and how to curb it. He's also written something on the comparative incidences of the Niger Delta problems and the Boko Haram insurgency. And so I think that if you want to uproot a tree, you don't keep cutting off the branches, you go to the roots and take it out. So my question to you, Professor Colonel Oluwadare Joseph, will be, how do we uproot the root cause of insecurity in Nigeria?
Thank you, moderator. Well, I want to thank the organizers of this program. I also want to thank those who cast this robust manifesto. And of course, I do my heart for my former boss, an erudite scholar and an administrator, for elucidating point by point on what concerns security in the manifesto. For the question they
moderator asked me to answer is how can we curb insecurity in Nigeria? Now, first of all, I think we need to identify what the threat is. What do you want to fight? What are you preparing the army for? What are you gathering intelligence about? You must first of all know the problem, the threat. And I think the threat to Nigeria's security is multidimensional. And in Ashiwaju's manifesto, everything has been stated. How we address it is what is most important. Very challenging and very, very important. Now, many of us, I'm not talking to people in this gathering. Nigerians don't even understand what security is about. When we talk about security, the next person we look at is the military or the police. What of you, the individual, me as a Nigerian? Do we understand security? Do you know you have to report somebody who is you have not don't know before, or you have been seeing him in your environment? You don't know his business, and you are so nonchalant, you cannot even find out who this person is, or let me discuss it with somebody else. In case is this person a criminal, or is a thoroughbred, or a responsible individual. Nigerians, we don't do that. And Yoruba will say, dear, I will tell them. Meaning that somebody you see today, he comes close to you, tomorrow you see him, but you are not thinking, who is this person? Before you know it, they will meet your dead body somewhere else. We are not thinking like that. Nigerians are not thinking like that. And on the part of the government, we believe so much on what we call kinetic approach to security problem. And what do I mean by kinetic? Believing in the use of weapons to curb security, it can never work. You can quote me any. What are these other things you can do? Non-kinetic, as stated in Bola Ahmed Tinubu manifesto. They are all there. My former boss, said 7 of them, they are very, very germane in whatever we are doing. First, let me tell you, according to the United Nations definition, they define human security. We have gone beyond the security of the state only. The security of the state is about the border. What is happening in the border now? Or our neighboring border we share with them. What are those things happening there? The military should man that place. Or when there is actual insurgency, as we have there in the north and in the north. What are those non-kinetic aspects of public insecurity? The United Nations define human security as ability of the state to cater for the protection and defense of its citizens. Between you and me. Well, the government is trying, but its effort is not enough. We have unemployment. People are hungry. economic, school cannot be opened. We see street urchins. All these children will refuse to send to school. Tomorrow they become men. What do they want? They want to exercise whatever God has given to them. They start living all over the place. They don't even know the meaning of what they are doing. If you don't send them to school, we are creating more problems for our society. Generation upon generation. Education is very, very important. I'm not the one said it. The United Nations said it. There are 7 issues about human security. 1, economic security. Food security. Health security. Environment security. Personal, just as I started, personal security. Community security and political security. Which of these, let me ask one of us here, are we addressing properly? There's nobody you give food to and you feed him very well who will turn back and carry his gun and say he wants to shoot you, some that person on the mouth. There is nobody who is gainfully employed and takes money home to feed his family that will turn around and say the government is stupid, except himself that is stupid, not the government. You have a gainful job. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you. There are so many of our thousands, if not millions, of our graduates who are milling around without a job. Their minds are not occupied. The Bible says it. A mind not occupied is a devilish domain. I mean, it's a devil domain. That is why we are having so many people. Where we have attacks here and there, it's not only Boko Haram. It is not only bandits. They are well brought up children, children of pastors, children of imams, who are rapists. Why? Many of them have no job. I have a child in my house for 5 years. He hasn't got a job. And I know so many families are going through this problem. These are the issues the government should address. Health security. Health security. Many of our leaders, I'm sorry, I have to say this. Any small thing we fly abroad to treat ourselves. I think I know the government of Tinubu has stated in the manifesto is going to address that issue. And I pray God will give them the strength to do it. Environment. Today, all over the place, man-made problem, man-made flood all over Nigeria here.
Thank you very much.
What are our town planners? What are they town planners? What are they doing? They go there to go and collect money. Corruption is one of the problems we have. Well, the moderator is not allowing me to.
I apologize, we're pressed for time, and as professionals, we try to keep the time. And I really do apologize. It's not in my place to attend on the country show, but I also have some masters to obey. So thank you. Well, they say that please put your hands together again for me. Thank you. They say that you save the best for last. The general beside me was the former chief of army staff, also former interior minister. And so I have for him 2 questions. From the action plan, it says here they would redefine military doctrine and practice. I'd like him, as someone
who is an insider? Because once a military person, always a military person. So I can't say who was an insider. To expand on that, redefining the military doctrine and practice as it is written in the Review Report Action Plan.
Thank you very much. As you know, it has been said here a couple of times that security is dynamic. And it's just like while we thought we have recruited and disseminated the Boko Haram insurgency in the Northeast, then the Northwest caught fire, Southeast caught fire. So security is dynamic. And the second issue is that we are not fighting a conventional warfare. The military is not fighting a conventional warfare, whereby you know the enemy, you know his strength, you know his weapons, and the enemy also observes certain rules of warfare. But what we are fighting today is a non-conventional warfare that is asymmetric in nature, that involves non-state actors who carry or possess all kinds of weapons without following any rules. And they, not only that, they live within our communities more often than that. So they blend with our communities, with others, innocent, law-abiding citizens. So the way you fight a conventional warfare is different from the way you fight warfare involving non-state actors, such as counter-insurgency, counter-terrorism, or countering violent extremism. Now, so this is why from time to time you have to redefine your doctrine. And the doctrine, in a very simplest way to make people understand is the way you conduct the warfare itself. I will stop at that because no, I haven't finished. I'll stop at that broad definition. But there are two ways to fight it. There are two ways, two most popular doctrines the military uses all over the world. One involves war of attrition, and one involves maneuverist approach. You see, when you are fighting insurgents or terrorist groups, they want an extended warfare, extended period of fighting. They want to fight forever. So if you give them the opportunity, they will fight forever. They will train their children, train their grandchildren, and so on. This war will continue forever. So that is not the kind of thing we want. So understanding that, now you have to look at the doctrine in order to be able to deal with them. And this is why, and also thanks to our intelligence community, one of the reasons why, there was, it's a kind of defeating the enemy without even fighting him. And one of the things to do is to look at the center of gravity. And the center, one of the areas of center of gravity is leadership. Now, we looked at the leadership of Boko Haram, and what we did was to split them, knock their heads. And that was what led to the death of Chicago. Now, by knocking their heads, splitting the leadership, now what we have done was to reduce their strength in fighting, because any group that doesn't have coherent leadership loses that opportunity to fight strong. So these are some of the things. If we are fighting a conventional warfare, the the approach will be very, very different from what was writing. So this is why in the manifesto, Tinubu says, Tinubu's manifesto indicates that it will redefine the doctrine, because today the kind of things happening in the Northwest is not what is happening in the Northeast, or what has happened. The other issue is the fact that the implementation of the doctrine is the fact that the Boko Haram, the insurgency in Boko Haram has become regional. So since it has become regional, all the LCDC countries are involved. Now, you cannot use just our own doctrine here to fight it, because we have the multinational joint task force. So what that means is that you must develop a joint doctrine in order to succeed, to successfully fight that goal. I hope I made myself clear.
Thank you very much, General Gazelle. You actually made yourself very, very clear. To corroborate what he just said, I don't know if you saw the news where it said that ISIS and Boko Haram went against each other sometime last 2 weeks or so, and they decimated themselves. May the enemies of Nigeria continue to go against each other. Okay, I am told that we're pressed for time, but can we get some questions and answers? One question. Okay, so we have we have one question, and I was wondering if as a moderator I could take the question, but I see a hand up already. Okay, let's take privilege of VIP seats, please. Sorry.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. My name is Professor Kadina. I'm a professor of security studies. And the intervention of the DIG summarized all the things that have been said. That good governance will solve 80% of the problem, and the rest 20% will just be to face the professional ones where the doctors will come. Now, the good governance involves the activities of states and local governments. But we are fond of saying that security is an exclusively only the federal government that will do it. Looking at this, from what we have said from the 7-point agenda, it shows that there will be something that will be deliberate and specific to carry along the state and the local government in the policies of the Tinubu administration. So I do not know what plan we have, because if you have read the manifesto, the problems have been solved. So what is it that we have to ensure that while we are working at the federal level, ensuring that we want to keep Nigerians safe, we engage the states and the local government to carry out their own bits and engage in the good governance and make the work of the president easier than it should be. Thank you very much.
So I want to believe that question was directed at you. No, he said something about how do we ensure the local government, that they're in their place of duty. Okay, I see Honorable Barrister Babatunde Oshala.
Just to help in answering this question, that if you look at the manifesto itself, despite pointing out these action plans, just in the manifesto, that it can also be localized. And once it talks about localization, I think concepts like community policing, and like if you are familiar with Lagos, exactly what it has been done, that you even have Lagos State Level Security Corps up to polling units level. So in my world, in my neighborhood, I know those who police know and we all know ourselves. So if you, Professor, comes into locality, we can use it as our monthly basis. We saw what the federal man and the working who is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister Babatunde Ogala, Honorable, former Lagos State House of Assembly member, and also former APC legal advisor. Right, I do understand that General Nambazzo would like to react to that question or comment, so we'll quickly do that and we'll wrap it up nicely.
Just to add to what Mr. Ogala said in response to that. I think it's a very good observation, but the manifesto itself mentioned that the government will collaborate with the state governments in some of those issues. But having said that, I think the point he is trying to make is that lots of Nigerians focus attention on federal government when it comes to security. Why? Simply because the federal government controls the military and to a large extent the police. That is the reason. But beyond that, security has gone beyond the traditional approach. Because somebody rightly pointed out, you cannot deal with security purely on military terms. And even in the Northeast, civilians are involved in sorting out these issues. There are issues that need civilian components completely. What of dealing with IDPs, for instance, and so on and so forth. So coming to that is that the issue of education, for instance, because we talk of human security, there are some of these issues that are either in the exclusive list or on concurrent list. Education, for instance, is on concurrent list. And one of the ways you can deal with insecurity is to ensure that everybody has not only have access to education, but of the highest quality. So if you do that, the more educated a nation is, the less problems they have in terms of security. Of course, every nation has its own peculiarity in terms of issues. But in our own climate here, these issues of human security, health, education, and so on are issues that we have to deal with. But these are issues that the responsibility of tackling those issues largely are within the purview of state and local governments, not federal government.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is the point I think you are trying to make.
Thank you very much, General Nambazzo, Baraden Kano, former Chief of Army Staff. A very big thank you also to Professor Colonel Oluwadari Joseph, retired, and I apologize. I've been told that I'm pressed for time. I see you're not happy. There's so much else you want to say, but I'm sorry and I apologize. All right, BIG David Bolario, thank you so much for your time. I'd also like to say a very big thank you to Mr. Dr. Ola Atowore, former CEO of Lagos State Security Trust Fund, and of course, to Mr. Garbachew Shinkapi, the DSS Director retired. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Please don't forget that the manifesto is there. It's online, it's offline, hard copy, soft copy. You can find it, get a copy, read for yourself, and see the simple way that the Tinubu Shetima action plan is ready to work on fixing Nigeria. As a matter of fact, their potent security says the bedrock of a prosperous nation and democratic society is national security. I'm Ken Ken. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for them. You'll now pose for press. We'll take a good picture. Thank you very much. After this panel, we are going into judicial and law reforms, and that's very important. I want to specially greet all the lawyers in the house. A lawyer once said to his judge, he said, "My lord, my client here agrees that he's the one that stole the goat. But my lord, If you see the pepper soup he made with the goat, he will temper justice with mercy. We'll invite, as they leave the stage, please put your hands together for them. Thank you very much. They've served this country well. And right now, they're helping us to still offer advice on how to make insecurity a thing of the past. Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for them. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite a very respected member of the Nigerian Bar Association. He's into private legal practice. He's also a member of the BOT of the APC Professionals Forum. Let's welcome our moderator for this session. This session will just be moderated. The moderator will speak to the issues and very quickly they'll go into the discussion. Let me invite Barrister Vincent Essien to come and lead us. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up. Let's clap for him, please. Clap for him, please. Thank you. Barrister Vincent Essien, thank you so much for the time. We're speaking to the issues, and then the panel will quickly be constituted and they'll take the issues from there. Judicial and law reforms. Another round of applause for him, please, as he gets seated. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Ashim.
Please, can we be seated? Can we be seated, please? Thank you. Thank you. Can we be seated, please? Thank you very much. Can we be seated? The moderator for the next panel is already seated, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ben. I can see that everybody has been here for a while now, and I guess you're probably scared that the lawyers are coming with long papers. So this is actually going to be the shortest session. And I'm going to quickly invite the panelists to come up here. So our first panelist to come up here is Barrister Babatunde Ogala, SAN. I'd also like to invite Dr. Siraju Yakubu to join the panel. Please, the next panelist I'd like to invite is Mr. Patrick Eze. Please come up the panel. And then quickly, without much time, the next panelist is Mr. Abraham Paul. Thank you very much. So like I said, first of all, I'd like to recognize our chief host who is forced to sit here from morning till now, His Excellency, the chairman of the BOT of APC Professional Forum, and our chief host, Dr. Isai Abuda. And I'd also like to recognize, even though he's left, our special guest, the vice presidential candidate of our great party, who made a moving speech here. Really, we have to recognize him. And then all protocols observed. So, like I said, we are here to dissect the judicial and legal reforms that are contained in the Renewed Hope manifesto of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Thankfully, the legal work we've done is not so much. We have in between 65 to page 67 of that manifesto, just 2 pages. Because a lot of people are, when they look at the manifesto, 80 pages. Hello. When they look at the 80-page manifesto, people get scared, but thankfully the legal manifesto is just 2 pages. And we actually have a Asiwaju well-grounded, because I come from Lagos, which is the most advanced legal jurisdiction in Nigeria. And a lot of extensive reform was done in Lagos, commencing from 1999, when Asiwaju became governor of Lagos State. And one of our panelists also happens to be somebody with consummate experience in legal matters, as well as the Lagos judicial jurisdiction. Mr. Babatunde Ogala, SAN, he was a member of the House of Assembly. Kem has introduced my panelists for me already, as well as the former National Legal Advisor of our great party, with the son, which is the highest rank he could get, and his wife is also a judge in the Lagos State Judiciary, so you can see he's well-rounded. I hope sometimes you appear before Madam. So it's all possible. So my first question I'd like to go direct to as an active practitioner with wide experience and who has actually benefited from the reforms that were instituted by Asiwaju in Lagos State, especially with regard to novel introductions like ADR and computerization of the judiciary in Lagos State. What is your view of the reforms that have been proposed in the Renewed Hope agenda? I'd like to also keep in view that there is already a constitutional amendment process in place. And constitutional review is also one of the plans and trust of that manifesto. So what is your take on the Renewed Hope agenda when it comes to legal and judicial reform? Thank you.
Thank you. Sometimes when people say the stand of existing protocol, I get scared. I never do that. Because the protocol will not be able to carry my weight. So I don't push the protocol. But I just want us to just take our mind straight to the introduction of, in fact, the subhead, judicial reform. It says growth and investment encouraged by the rule of law. So what this is simply saying is that the judicial process will drive the economy itself. Everything we've talked about here, from infrastructure to security, all boils down to economic prosperity of Nigeria and Nigerians. And without enabling laws, without statutes, without the rules, you can be sure nothing will get done. Even in security, there are rules of engagement. For the investors, without the rule of law, they will not come. For the local business, they will not invest. And Asiwaju Tinubu in this manifesto has identified the pillars upon which the whole, upon which the pillars that will stand on the front. So can we just kindly let us just concentrate and reduce the movement, because it's also distracting me. Thank you for your understanding. So the pillars, they have identified the pillars that is going to build on the foundation, because the foundation comes under the pillar for this. And what are these pillars that are identified? Judicial independence and integrity. That, of course, we know is with a strong judiciary, one with integrity. Today, though in my opinion misconceived, there's a lack of confidence in judiciary. But this can be restored. And how do we go about restoring this? If we respect our own laws, like somebody said earlier, the leadership should not beg the police. Even they cause it beg, but most of the time is interference, because he would not likely say no. So, if we respect the rule of law from the bottom up, or from up down, or vice versa, we can ensure an assurance stays a lot of common base. The legal framework, which is coming back to the constitutional review process that is ongoing. Legal framework can only but be a continuous thing. There's no perfect constitution anywhere. Then there is any perfect statute. Every day, even in the most advanced democracies, there are laws keep being amended. If there are no amendments, I don't think there will be need to keep a Congress or a Parliament, because that is one of their primary responsibilities. So, that of course, with the legal framework being put in place, and like I has said in his manifesto, it's going to collaborate with the National Assembly. Because no matter how much any leader wants to carry out these reforms, it needs the large cooperation of those who are going to make this laws. The process is ongoing now, which we hope will conclude before May, but we can be sure that it's also an ongoing process. Access to justice, equality before the law. And that is why I'll take it back, because I'm one who has always believed that for anybody who wants a job, what sells you, what you first put forward is your CV. And what you do with your CV is how you have performed in the previous employments you've had. Even in your place of work, where you are seeking promotion, is your track record. And that is why Ashwaju's track record again comes into play. What did he do in Lagos as governor? It was a massive revolution of the totality of the judicial process. From the welfare of judges, magistrates, customary courts, from the building of infrastructure, Lagos is perhaps the first judiciary in this country that went IT, automatic recording system for the courts. Lagos is the first to go digital. Lagos is the first to even largely give. I think I was also chairman of House of the Judiciary in Lagos State, who were the first that boldly said, look, judicial autonomy and financial autonomy, let go. And not the points. We were the first to even talk about setting up citizen-centered centers, Office of Public Defender, Citizens Mediation Center. These were special purpose vehicles that were created and funded by government to provide services for the poor. So there was access to justice by the totality of the citizens, irrespective of your financial or social status. Of course, Lagos was also the first under Ashwaju to consider alternative dispute resolution mechanism by the creation of the Lagos native Lagos multi-law courthouse. Then on infrastructure, it might interest you to also know, and I said this before, some appellate court judges some time ago, but the judges now drive jeeps in Lagos started that. And the average judge, the day you appointed a judge, even though the National Judicial Council is responsible for the payments of their salaries, for the moment you appointed a judge of the High Court of Lagos State, the first things you get are your car keys and the key to your house, which is the minimum of a house in duplex. And those houses are not official property. They are yours for life. You retire and you go with that property. So there's no judge who will retire from Lagos who will not have a permanent home thereafter. What does that do? Confidence. It reduces corruption. It reduces the temptation to do what they ought not to do. It's also talked about the structural review of judiciary. We talked about judicial autonomy and discipline. Discipline is a two-way thing, both by the jurists and also by the executive and legislative arm of government. Part of what we did, and I assure you, has done in Lagos, is to give the jurists a sense of pride, to build a very healthy relationship between the government and the practitioners as well as court users. Because other than those lawyers who are the practitioners, having confidence in that judiciary, we are simply advocates in that level. The customers are the common people who come there to litigate. If you do not have confidence, it takes you nowhere. And the rule of law also extends to law enforcement agencies. In Lagos State, there's something we call duty solicitor scheme. We did, and one actually watch, there was a revolution in the Administration of Criminal Justice law, the tenancy law in Lagos. It moved from the archaic laws we had, then the Administration of Criminal Justice law, partnership laws, and in the Administration of Criminal Justice law together and the Constitution guaranteeing the not detaining persons for no more than 24 hours. In Lagos State, a DPO or indeed any police station, a magistrate that in the court that is closest to any detention facility has a power, to walk in there and say, I want a list of those who are detained here. And you must oblige it. That's what the law enforcement agents. And once you oblige, the magistrate can there and then determine those who should not be there and take them out. The Lagos State Ministry of Justice is said to be the largest law firm in Africa because of the number of lawyers that are engaged there. And these lawyers are assigned across the courts, across detention facilities, across police stations. So it gives some confidence. And these are the things Mashwaju in his manifesto has said, if given the opportunity, I will replicate at the national level. So, in a nutshell, this is just like the summary of the content. This, like I said again, is summary. The deeper document, of course, we not also go into thousands of volumes. By the time we put the heads of the professors together, seasoned lawyers, like members of this panel, even those who don't practice in Lagos, since we are coming to Abuja, who will work with Ashwaju, and indeed, all of us who are court users. If I might just make a passing joke, I think Mr. Fola Towari, has he left? Is there something Mr. Fola Towari was the Solicitor General in Lagos State, and he was also Ashwaju's commissioner. He did put that as part of the pioneer commissioner for lands, who also was part of the revolution in lands administration in Lagos. You know, I think in Lagos State you can say, I remember when I think under his watch and the current vice president and attorney general, where they were going to provide cars, and they said they wanted to give magistrates money to buy cars. And I just said, I'm not going to give them the and he said, my magistrates will not drive second cars. And that was, again, a revolution in Lagos. All magistrates in Lagos were provided brand new official vehicles. And to date, they have not changed every 4 years, including the organ diesel every week, the get generator allowance, vacations, and offshore training. These were all institutions that were built, and it will explain why the Lagos judiciary is perhaps the best. In fact, when I come here to appear in courts, I tell them with two apologies that we have brought the law from Lagos. So, Ashwaju from his manifesto and from his track record will bring the law to the rest of
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The way DK was looking at me was like, you're looking to be converted, I'm Lagos man too. So truly, if you were to go by just judicial and legal reforms, there is no equal. Lagos is way at the rest of the country. But let us come to somebody who is here in Abuja, a very vast and respected legal practitioner, the HOD of Public International Law, Nine University, Abuja, Dr. Siraj Yakubu Esquire, also a strong member of our party. One of the basic plans of the Renewed Hope Manifesto is independence and decentralization of the judiciary. One of the noble things that is in that manifesto is also the fact that they want to limit the scope of the NJC to federal courts. I'd like you to address this subject.
Thank you very much for giving me to speak. First of all, I'm here to represent Dr. Hassan Muhammad Imam SAN because he received a call yesterday from his governor asking him to call over to this house to receive our great leader, our public candidates of our great party. So he actually together his unreserved apology that he had wanted to personally come here and speak to the distinguished audience, but because of the exigency over there, he couldn't do that. And he sent me as his one of his mentee, both your apologies. Yes, this is very interesting to see someone, because people fight for territory, people fight to keep things. But it's interesting to see someone, a politician, trying to seek power to set governments, which is good. I think that time I speak more people who understand what I'm talking about. The NJC, or National Judicial Council, is a body responsible for appointment of judicial officers. It is the council that is responsible for discipline of judges, and the power of the agency actually covers both the federal and the state judiciary. But you know, under our constitution, the country is delineated, at least administratively and politically, into three tiers. That's the local government, the state, and the federal government. And each of these governments are distinct from each other with their distinct powers, even though there is a concurrent list where the federal and the state governments have some common powers. But when it comes to discipline and appointment of judges, everything is one body, which is actually a federal body. So, and we all know that we have the state and the federal judiciary, which are also the creation of the constitution. So that's why I said, we find somebody who's a truly democrat, somebody who believes in the rule of law, because one of the elements of the rule of law is the independence of the judiciary itself. So if the state government, if the state judiciary, even though it's independent in relation to the state government, but you can see it is being subordinated to a federal body. So, and I think this reform, I think, is timely. It will give the opportunity to the state chief justices and the state judiciary to take care of their own affairs. So I think this is a great force, and it takes only a great man, a great team to think this way to show that our candidate is actually a champion of the rule of law. We know that even since during the military rule, he is one of the people who actually fought for democracy in this country, and you can see that he believed in democracy because rule of law exists only in a democratic society. So I think, he deserves himself and the team and our party deserve, kudos. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siraju. Truly, Asiwaju is one who has fought for constitutional sustaining the fact that the constitution will be respected. We all remember how doggedly he fought, even when he had to go against the federal government with regard to creation of local governments. He fought that fight, and that's what the thing that we benefited from. We started in the southwest, we went to the north, and now we're probably going to go to someone who's very strong in the east. So you can see we are respecting federal character. So the next panelist is Barrister Patrick Uzoku Eze. He is a member of the BOT of the APC Professional Forum. He practiced in the great Rotary Williams Chambers. He's also been a secretary of our great party in Imo State, and as well as legal advisor of our party in Imo State. Still taking on the issue of independence of the judiciary. One of the pillars of the Renewed Hope Manifesto is to try to entrench some reforms. And one of the things that is being looked at, being discussed, is there's a strong argument for the separation of the office of the Attorney General and the office of the Minister of Justice. Can you give us a broad overview of this matter, Mr. Patrick? Thank you.
Hello? Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The United States, Sakala has done a wonderful work of overviewing the Ashimadu manifesto as it relates to judicial reform and judicial reforms. So I'm going to good work. I'm one person that believes that part of our challenges in this country is very systemic. Very systemic in the sense that a lot of power, a lot of things are concentrated in the center, could more or less run a unitary kind of government in the name of the federation. So for this country to grow, we need to challenge that system and try to change it. And part of what has been done in the Ashimadu manifesto is to try to introduce, if Ashimadu comes to power by the grace of God, is to try to introduce constitutional changes to make our system work better than it is working now. And part of what is in the manifesto is to try to separate the office of the Minister of Justice from the Attorney General. It's not really a novel thing because if you look at the accounting field, the office of the Accountant General of the Federation and that of the Auditor General, they are separated. The Accountant General of the Federation does his own thing, while the Auditor of the Auditor General of the Federation audits everybody, while the account whatever restrict himself to the account of the Federation. So a similar thing can be done in the law field. In advanced democracies, the office of the Minister of Justice is different. The Minister of Justice concentrates purely on that restrictive nature of justice, appointments of judges, making judicial reforms, constitutional reforms, policies. Those are the jobs of the Minister of Justice. While while the Attorney General, strictly speaking, concentrates on fighting crime. Because without a secure environment like 1107, we really can't progress. So we need a secure environment, secure from crime. And the duty of any attorney general is to ensure that crime is reduced to the barest minimum. And it's advanced societies as well. The attorney general more or less is in charge of the police. Like you find in the US where the AG is in charge of the FBI. So we can't be handling the administrative part of justice and handling how the police works. So I think it's a welcome and a novel policy if the office of the Attorney General is separate and distinct from that of the Justice Minister. The Justice Minister does his own thing. The Attorney General is the Attorney General of the He handles whatever, doesn't care who is the president or who is the governor, who is whoever. He takes everybody that comes to court, prosecutes them. So I think it's a welcome and novel idea. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Basically, what you're saying is that in the US, that's what they call the DA, the district attorney. So that could be a novel intervention in our judicial space, and it's something that we look forward to. Our next panelist is also a very versatile legal practitioner. Mr. Abraham Paul is from Kaduna State, he's a public servant and a strong supporter and believer in the Asiwaju Relief Hope Manifesto. One of the planks of this manifesto is access to justice. And one of the proposals is the creation of specialized courts. Mr. Paul, could you comment on at least one such court that you think you believe is necessary for faster and more efficient dispensation of justice? Thank you.
This opportunity. I have studied this manifesto with rapt attention, and as a matter of fact, I think this is one of the recommendations that I completely fall in line with. You see, judiciary is our constituency, and we can say without mincing words that our judges are overstretched. When you look at it practically, you will see that the demand for justice in this country is increasing every day. Cases are coming in, the court dockets are becoming saturated, increasingly becoming overwhelming. And when I saw the reform proposal that specialized court will be established, I think I was completely at home with that. Before I take you into what specific court I would like to see in place, let me mention quickly that these delays, this overstretching of our court docket has unnecessarily introduced a culture of delay in justice administration in Nigeria. I'm very sure, even from the audience, we'll have people that have matters in court, which ordinarily ought to have stayed in court for at least 2 to 3 years at most. But such matters end up staying sometimes for 10 years plus, and so on and so forth. We have a tradition or an adage in the judiciary that says justice delay could end up being justice denied, and so on. So, of course, it is not out of place that this manifesto is actually proposing for establishing specialized court that will be able to reduce the work rate of this of the current system we have. Now, challenges ordinarily that come with creation of courts may be many. One of them, of course, is the issue of funding, but I don't need to go into that because previous speakers have also, and even is there embellished in the manifesto, modalities that are put in place to be able to see that judiciary is granted at least financial autonomy generally, financial and otherwise. So we wouldn't even have to come and begin to talk about the issue of funding, because with adequate financial autonomy, I am very sure that the issue of funding will of course be taken care of. And another challenge, of course, that is likely to also cripple this particular initiative is our tradition of, going by manual process. ICT is the thing. ICT has taken over the world, and so on and so forth. So part of the reason that has introduced unnecessary delay in our justice system today is a tendency to do almost everything manually. I remember one time we had some of our development partners that came from UK. They came to actually take what you call they came for scoping visit to be able to look at what are the challenges in the judiciary. We went to one of the magistrate court around. As a matter of fact, the white man sat there and got tired at the point because it took almost more than 30 minutes taking statement of the witness. And all these things contributed. So one of the things I've also seen in the manifesto that just for addressing this is introducing ICT. Of course, with this one, we know that the issue of services, the issue of case management, the issue of taking proceedings in court, all these things will be handled where we deploy computer to aid justice delivery. And these things are all embellished in the manifesto. Perhaps one area that I've also seen as perhaps being likely to cause an issue here is our attitude toward embracing changes like this, or such positive changes. I can tell you for free that we have jurisdictions around that have attempted to introduce ICT to aid justice delivery. But unfortunately, the research has been very, very poor. And I'm very sure that perhaps with this particular boots on ground, the candidate, when they eventually get into power, they will indeed make it a national policy. And I'm very sure that that way we'll be able to have a kind of an all-round compliance to some of these measures. So, in a nutshell, I am in support of the idea of establishing, but if you ask me to mention, of course I will say, let's have a special anti-corruption court that will handle anti-corruption cases. That will reduce the pressure on other courts to also see how justice can be dispensed speedily. Perhaps we might even shut down the jurisdiction of other courts and commit to this one to think that, but like our learned SAN has actually pointed out, sometimes reforms of this nature are actually work in progress. So if we have anti-corruption court today, and tomorrow they expect to have more, of course, why not? We keep having them so long as they respond, which I believe they will need. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. That's a whole one, anti-corruption court. Maybe another SAN wants to say something about that, but we're almost running out of time. Just say something, say something.
For the specialized courses in the manufacturing, but I think perhaps it is also be understood that when we talk about specialized courts, because it's the word specialized courts now are being abused like anti-corruption courts. The magistrate or the high court judge sitting over a corruption matter is an anti-corruption court at that point. If you're sitting over a land matter, it's a specialized court. Like in Lagos State, I keep referring to Lagos. The judiciary has divisions, commercial division, land division, so they are also specialized. And these are things that are going to be put into statute. I maybe a little bit away from the judiciary, even legislative. Legislative, you hear people will talk about assurances, the have Lagos Assembly in his pockets. Yes, it was easy to have the assembly in the pockets. And how was that done? There was something that was called executive legislative pipe in Lagos State that he innovated. And what do we do there? By September, the executive come with the legislators, they run through the program for the following year. You then ask the legislators, you represent the constituencies. What are the needs of the constituency? So we can put it in the budget. Please ask me, if that budget is eventually passed, why would the legislator want to find the executive on the document they collectively own? And they say, so it's a good collaborative effort. So, just in rounding up, I'll just say, let us go back, look at this manifesto. That is the hymn book. That is the Bible of our national unity. And what we have here, the man we talk about, is a man who has done, albeit at the subnational level, he has done what he's saying he will do. Like they say, man will talk and he should do, or man will talk and he did do. So, I seriously commend this manifesto to all of us. Let us also go out there and dissect sin to be uninformed. To even our opponents, because if you look at for those of us who are on social media, they've not been able to say anything to say about this manifesto. Nobody is talking about their manifesto. Nobody. Somebody says his own is in his head. I pray it doesn't come to a rally in Lagos and tell us manifesto. We will break it and break it out because we want to know. So on that note, I think we may have said, we said to have shared a little more light on the manifesto as it concerns the very well, and I'm glad to have a part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think even though we are lawyers, we try to shorten the time. So you still allow us to have one or two questions from the audience. One or two questions from the audience. Are you okay? Mr. Fola, don't worry. We would allow you to sit here and we're talking about legal reform and you say something. So, sir, we are asking you to have a question ready for us. And then we like gender. Can we have a lady, please, to say something? Okay. So,
Yes, sir. My name is Farouk Alibish. I'm from Lagos State. I'm also a legal learning in a way that I graduated in a diploma in law at Lagos State University, and I also finished my law in the Open University, which you cannot be able to do for the laws. What I want to ask, Organa, you are not even talking about the human rights and the defense of lower people. The common man will believe at lower cost, which is magistrate's cost. And what are the manifesto of Tinubu? Because I know that Tinubu started the issue of human rights in Lagos State, and most of the human rights tests in police station, because I'm a member of the CDHL in Lagos State, which I also possess one of the stations, whereby if any case comes, we all attend before any case is transferred to the courts. So what are the area of those manifesto of human rights in the
That's a very brilliant question. Without access to justice, especially at the lower rank, Mr. Vicky, please take that.
If you see the manifesto, it answers the question on page 65, where access to justice is one pillar. And access to justice and equality before the law encompasses a lot, including human rights, your human rights guarantee. And I think in my presentation, I've given you examples of how he was able to do some of these things in Lagos. I'm happy to hear that in your local community in Lagos, you also interface and you are aware of the human rights and daily duty solicitor scheme, which are the even the fact that magistrate courts are made to sit on Saturdays over human rights matter. So nobody is held on for early detention for unnecessary long time. Like I also pointed out to you, in the administration of criminal justice law in Lagos, and I think even the magistrate can put a police station and constitute a court. They are there. You can demand to say, I want to know those in yourselves and why they are here. I think that is also protecting the rights of people. The Office of Public Defender is strictly for the poor, the indigent, who can afford legal representation. And the Office of Public Defender, even though paid for by the government, is a complete law chamber on its own, with its own four-story building in Udolega, and they contest cases against the government vigorously. So these are examples. And when a man has committed himself to the rule of law, to access to justice, it's all encompassing. When it comes to the nitty-gritty of it, like I said, the moderator observed, this is only a 3-page document. The implementation, like I noted, might even go into thousands and thousands of pages by the time we break it down into the tiny bits and pieces, and several committees will be set up to see to the implementation of this, what has been summarized in the manifesto. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DK. So the lady, yes. Your question, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ashley. As you see, we have discussed, so give it to the legal advisor to say.
Legal advisor.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know, let us see the other professional colleagues. Good afternoon. My questions, or some of them are in form of demands. Sorry. The first thing that enters in mind as a lawyer and a member of ABC is how do we ensure as lawyers that manifestos of candidates vis-a-vis that of the party is made enforceable so that we can have a converging space where we all know what we expect of our party and our candidates even before they get into office. You are doing that even is done. We all be working towards the same direction because already the party has a program that is possible. Meaning that whenever you find yourself, you'll be working to actualize that program, which in a way will bring unity of purpose. Having said that, my second concern is that the issue of Chapter 2 of the Constitution and the non-justiciability of that chapter, we as lawyers will all agree that there is no way you can talk about good governance today, but that particular non-justiciability of that chapter still retained in the Constitution or in our legal system. The third is, in the fights in the criminal justice system, I think it is time, if not too late in the day, that security agents be stripped of detention powers so that let's be done like the way it's been done in the US. Once you are arrested, you have to go to the prison. Then from there, apparently there's something like somebody holding you down for bail or otherwise, and then you are charged or you are going to pay finally. It will reduce
this body on our security agents, whereby issue of trust will continue to disturb the trust process between the citizens and the security agents. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. That's 3 bullets in one. Mr. Abraham, would you like to take the issue of harmonization of the manifesto? Hello? Or maybe you would like to take the issue of fundamental human rights. When it says chapter 2, that's fundamental human rights. Because not everybody here is a lawyer. So you should let them know that. So, Mr. Abraham, maybe you take that question to see if you can make it justifiable.
The drafters of this constitution, in their wisdom, decided that chapter 2 should not be constitutional. We have a lot of argument back and forth as to the importance of making this chapter constitutional, because the whole idea of good governance is tied to this. But you see, there is a simple rule on justiciability of this particular constitution. If you make it justiciable, we are going to have a situation as a thinking where we don't have a certain parameter to assess performance. So there is a red line that we might not be able to see. For instance, how do you determine whether somebody has actually performed or not? What parameter are you going to use to assess that? We have a system, for instance, in place. Please, let me use the issue of security in place. Now, we have believed that the government of the day is doing and has done its best as far as security is concerned. And we also have some other persons out there who will tell you that they have not actually done anything. So, if you begin to make some of these things justiciable, we are certainly going to create a system where the floodgate of litigation from against political stakeholders or against our political representative may likely stop them from actually doing their constitutional responsibility. So while I agree that it should be justiciable, certain check should be put in place to be able to provide some sort of guide that you will know at this point this person has not actually performed, or at this point the person has actually performed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. When it says justiciable, that means that you can basically take the government to court for not meeting your fundamental human rights provisions. Let's see, maybe you take the one about harmonization of manifestos or programs. You have to quickly run.
I think that is more political than why we're here. But just for information, you will note that in the making of the manifesto of Ashwari Bola Tinubu, it took a while. It was reported over the media that there were several interests, the governor's forum, the party, his own thoughts, they all have to harmonize. And whatever you see here are also derivatives of the ABC manifesto. He has not gone to bring them from the blues. What he has only done here, look at ABC manifesto, pick things from there, and giving you how to actualize what the manifesto is. So I think harmonization is not really, I think it's very well harmonized. At every turn, the party has its own constitution, its own manifesto. But the candidate must also pick our priorities and must be able to tell the public. I mean, you won't say, go and make this, you must be able to tell the public how I, as the candidate, would actualize what we as a party and I, as a person, have identified as what I want to do. So I don't think there's any problem of harmonization at all. No, in fact, it took a while that the public was almost saying to us that we did not have a manifesto until this came out and everybody had to sit up. While we're still waiting for the man, and those who have their own inside their heads.
Mr. Fola, so I think I saw you just step out now. Yeah, I just saw you step out.
Mr. Michael, only Mr. Michael.
Okay.
Time is
Just last question, please. Dr. Ajulo.
Good afternoon. My name is Sick and members of the panel. Well, my name is Dr. Ajulo. Practice lawyer based in Lagos, and as well. I'm the convener of the Royal Center for Bola and Mexico. Well, I've always said that to understand better or proper perspective, what actually has done in terms of judicial reforms, all we need to do is to look at the curriculum of Nigeria Law School, the making of a lawyer in Nigeria. And the SCA, as well as even the civil procedure rules, Lagos State, is the template for teaching law in our Nigerian law school. However, I feel much is not done. Somebody mentioned earlier on that if you are to look at what actually has done in terms of judicial reforms, in fact, in terms of assisting judicial officers, that alone should give actually the presidency of this country without any compromise. However, I feel, and I submit, and I'm going to pose my question in that regard, that discussing judicial reform, and that's why, in line with the manifesto, we serve a program in form of the hour of conversation discussion as a regular. In view of the period of the election, I don't want to know how possible it is that we see the avenue to discuss, to have a full discussion as regard judicial reform and our manifesto. That's one. Two, an area that I look at critically, and I wish our manifesto is going to make an express statement in that regard, is in the area of our appeals for our interest court, particularly the Supreme Court. We all know that today, for your appeal to be heard, apart from political matters, for your appeal to be heard in the Supreme Court, you must have tried the 2030 for you to be heard in 2023. Honestly, I've tried to look at it that in view of the constitutional place of it, that area is one area I need an answer like. I just need an express concern, like what is it that we can do? I've tried to look at the manifesto and to look at what we think that I can't find one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ajulo. One thing I'd like to say that is very clear, law is organic, it's always evolving. So the laws we make today may not even be appropriate for what we make tomorrow. So clearly, law is an always evolving process. I'd like Mr. Biki Ogala to just make a brief response to that and then we close.
Thank you. I think that for the Supreme Court, I'm not too sure the candidate can put that within his manifesto. All that is encompassed in the reform process that he has said he would undertake, including digitalizing even the courts, reforming the laws. So the Supreme Court is as busy as it is because the Supreme Court is being made to carry the burden it ought to carry. Tenancy matters over one room go all the way to the Supreme Court. Interlocutory application. So, but that is not for the candidate to be talking about. I'm talking about what they have in a seminar like this to review just conceptual framework. And I'm happy you introduce yourself as representing Lawyers Network for Bola Tinubu. This is a group, professionals, APC professionals group. And whatever you see here is their efforts and their resources. Like the VP kindly said, no funding from anywhere. So you, the Lawyers Network for PAT, you are the lawyers. Please invite us to a seminar or symposium like this, almost on the launch program for Tinubu, which we will then donate, you can then donate to his team to work. So the challenge, I pass the ball back to you, and I say, take up that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. I know I said we're going to close, but I just saw the stuff for he is not just about security. He is
I think we really need to close. We really need to close. All right, thank you very much. Can we allow for the picture session now? Photographer, thank you. Please put your hands together. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a very long day, and I must appreciate particularly our chairman for staying true. He has not had sleep for many days, but he's still here, and he has not blinked since. Please, let's put our hands together for him. The panel, I know that lawyers are serious, but you can smile. It's good. Thank you very much. Please, let's appreciate them one more time. One more time, our lawyers, for helping us to put this together. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we'll quickly mention 2 things in the next, we will merge both the closing remarks and the vote of thanks together in one. So we'll invite the chairman of the organizing committee for his closing remarks, and he will also do for us the vote of thanks. Let's welcome His Excellency Ambassador Hassan Mohammed Hassan, former Nigerian ambassador to the United States of America. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Please, can we clap for him some more, please?
I think I'm very tall. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's program. We started as professionals and we are closing as professionals. If you look at the programs, we are supposed to close by 3 o'clock, but a Nigerian will want to close it at 4. So we are not bad time-wise, and we respect that. Today, I have a feeling and genuinely feel that we are more educated now than we came in here when it comes to the Asiwaju Manifesto. We have discussed extensively on the Tinubu economic blueprint. We have exhaustively discussed on infrastructural roadmap for Nigeria. We have talked on the judicial and law reform for Nigeria. We have also talked about safety and security in Nigeria. And we have distinguished gentlemen, the lead speakers and the panelists. I believe they've done a lot of justice, and we are very grateful for that. My job is just very simple. We want to thank everybody that has contributed to making this program a success. As you must have heard before now, that this is just the beginning. We have in the pipeline 3 programs that we want to embark upon. We have just finished and successfully finished this one, and we are preparing for the second one. And we want to thank everybody. If you have what it takes for us to invite you to to be a contributor in terms of a speaker or a discussant, just get to us. The professionals for whom we work professionally, because we are professionals and we have to behave as such. I want to seize this opportunity to thank our dear chairman who has been with us all through. He is a true chairman, and he is Mr. Babatunde Ogala. The whole thing, the idea of having something like this was his. And we want to thank you for thinking about that. And we also will thank ourselves for executing that idea. Yes. So as was said earlier, they said ideas are there, but the work is you need people to get that idea worked on so that it will be tangible. And we have done just that. I want to thank everybody, all the speakers, those that have stayed here all day. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Thank you very much for your encouragement, and we will do more. Thank you. Thank you very much. No photograph for me?
Well, we will take one.
We have to photograph.
We have to take one.
No.
Yes.
3 of us.
Yes, we have to take
We have
photographs.
3 of us.
But we need to invite the DOT members to come to the front for a group photograph, please. While the MCs will take the chairman organizing committee. After we'll also take the national anthem to formally close, but we'll need to take the picture first, please. DOT members, we are not recruiting today. We don't intend to expand our BOT today. We are not ready. Thank you for being brief today. It's only a lawyer that can give you 20 minutes and call it a brief. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, shall we now stand for the national anthem to formally signify the close of this event? Thank you very much. As professionals, let us use our skills and office to give this party a victory. Thank you very much. And Ben 200, half human, half amazing. I'll be walking today with.
I'm Ken, and it's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again.
And you are angry with me because I enforced time management. And you took the credits. You gladly took the credit. Time management.
No problem, you can pass it. Oh my God. Let me wait for them.